Hey friends, today I thought I would do a video where I eat for around $1 a day, but this time I'm planning to buy groceries for 2 weeks, or you could consider this a budget for 2 people for 1 week. I'll show as many of the meals that I can this week, and then I'll show the rest next week. I will be using some pantry staples like oil, dry spices, bouillon, and as always, I'll be using hot sauce. This is an emergency menu only, and it is certainly not enough nutrition for someone to eat this way regularly. This is just to provide some ideas on how to save money on food. I stopped by Walmart after work. I'm planning to pick up some of the ingredients here, and then I've shopped the sales on another market a little bit further down the road, so I'll stop by that next. But I'm picking up all of the items that I can get here that are less expensive. Actually, I think I'll get the sliced bread. Sometimes I'm disappointed because the slices are a little thinner, but I think this time it's going to help me save some time, and it will go perfect with the recipes that I want to make. There is a French soup I want to make that bread is going to be a part of, and just picking up some regular items. I am craving Mexican food this week. These budget challenges always work better when you have a theme and you try to use the ingredients across many different kinds of meals with the same theme, and in this case it being Mexican food. I'll make some variety as well, but that's the general theme. And I did make my disclosure at the beginning of this video. However, I did want to say, even though it's not going to have all of the nutrition that you'll need, we're going to make some delicious meals, and it's going to be very filling. And here are all of the items that I got at my first stop. I planned this weekly menu during my breaks at work, and I also looked online to see what kind of deals were at Wholesome Choice, and I stopped by there also and grabbed the items. However, it was a zoo in there, so I'll just show you these at home. I wasn't planning to have potatoes on my menu, but when I saw that they had 10 pounds for $2, I just couldn't refuse, and at least I know that nobody's going to go hungry. There are so many different kinds of meals that I can make with this. I got 2 pounds of rice. I actually think that if you wanted to omit the potatoes and just use the rice, that you'll probably have plenty of food, but you can look at my menu and see what you want to do. I was planning on using the rice to make a French recipe that's kind of been on my bucket list. And I also want to make some Mexican food, and this will be a great accompaniment to that. So I picked up these beans. I wanted a 2-pound bag of these, but they didn't have them. So I went ahead and got 1 pound of pinto and then 1 pound of kidney beans. And I actually think that this is going to be better anyway because of the different things that I want to make. I might use these in a salad as well. But if I wanted to, I could make a chili. I do have, I think, enough stuff to make a decent chili, which would be great over the rice. I also picked up these green lentils because I just can't go without green lentils. I'm planning to make some soups with this. If you watch my channel, you probably already know which soup I'm talking about. And then I got these red lentils because I also like these in soups, and there might be something different I want to do with that. I'm not sure yet. I got the tortillas because I want to make enchiladas. Not just enchiladas, but I also want to make some tacos. I might make an enchilada casserole. I'm not sure, but I eat a lot of corn tortillas, so there's lots of different ways that I can use those. And I have something very exciting to make with these, but more on that in a second. And then I picked up this whole kernel corn, just because if I want to make like a Southwest bowl, it's going to be nice to have some corn in there. And then I got this Fiesta blend, which you already saw. I have so many exciting things to do with this cheese. I'm thinking about making scalloped tomatoes. I can also make grilled cheese, or maybe even toast with tomato and cheese. Also cheese enchiladas. And then my very exciting recipe that I still can't tell you about. It's a secret and it's a surprise. And then I got these huge jalapeños for 20 cents, which I thought was a great deal. I forgot to get an Anaheim pepper, but I think I'm just gonna have to make do with this. I got this onion. I think this was 17 cents. Let me see. Yeah, that was 17 cents, which was a great deal because they had these 3 pounds for $1. This made my heart so happy. This was only 4 cents, you guys. And I know a lot of places don't have small pieces, but I was able to pick that up at Wholesome Choice. And then I have 4 tomatillos to make a green enchilada sauce. I'm also going to make a ranchera red sauce as well. And I do have this garlic that I spent a lot of money on for 64 cents. If you want to nix this, you can just use garlic powder. I've been really in a mood for using fresh garlic lately, and so I really wanted to use this. And here is my surprise. This made me so happy when I saw that Wholesome Choice had these on sale. I could not believe my good fortune. I first saw this on the app when I was looking at the veggies that were on ad, and then I was thinking about how delicious the spinach enchiladas at El Chorrito are. I think they have a Monterey Jack cheese inside with onions and spinach, and then they make these whole beans on the side, and then of course rice, which I have everything to make except for the little corn thing. But these are so delicious, and I've been a little scared to make these. I don't know why, but today I'm gonna try and see how I do. Some of you may remember when I recreated my favorite cheese enchiladas, and that actually turned out really well. Anyway, I got this carrot, which is gonna go in a couple of things, and then I also got cilantro for 33 cents. The ingredients list, price list, menu, recipes, all of that will be in the description area of my video, so you can just copy and paste if you want to do this menu plan for yourself. I pretty much show you all of the prices when I'm shopping, so you know that yes, this is how much I really spent for this. And then I wouldn't be me if I didn't get a few green beans. I'm actually going to use these in this French rice salad that I want to make, so those are going to be pivotal to making it seem like a real salad. And then I got the bread, which again, I'm gonna make a soup and toss these on the top. It's like a French style. So I've got Mexican recipes and French recipes, and then just, I think, some regular recipes, American recipes. So this is it. And I did want to tell you guys, one of my biggest tricks for remembering the items that you have is to take a photo of everything set out, because once it goes in the fridge, you're going to forget where it is. And it's just nice if you can have that photo to go back to. I am slightly over budget this week, but I didn't want to remove any of the items, so I just decided to leave it as is. And you may notice that I don't have any breakfast food. That's because eggs are way too expensive right now, and I just feel like I can get better nutrition with savory meals, and I honestly prefer them anyway. I did go ahead and split everything into half just so that I can have the other items for the next week. Some things will be more difficult to split, like the tomato. That's probably not gonna last, obviously, till next week, but the rest of the stuff is getting split. I get 15 tortillas and 12.5 slices of bread for myself this week. It's always fun for me when I can make a bucket list recipe, especially when I'm doing an extreme budget, because these are recipes I want to make anyway, and I can't afford to be spending a lot of money on food. So today I'm going to work on making up some of the meals that I want to make, and then I'll show you how I made them, and then some of the meals that are self-explanatory, I'll just show you the end result. To start out with, I'm going to cook half of the pinto beans. I have 3 very small cloves of rough chopped garlic. I have this small sliver of onions that I went ahead and chopped into bite-sized pieces because I'm not going to pull those out. I want to leave those in with the beans when they're done. And it looks like somebody has been using my Instant Pot, but that's okay. I'm actually so glad that my son bought this for me, because I really wouldn't have been able to make this video if I wasn't able to cook the beans quickly. And I did decide to go ahead and add just a touch of oil to these. And I'm just keeping it simple and using the bean/chili button. And then I'm going to go ahead and cook some rice. And if you want the rice, this is the rice for the enchiladas, by the way. And if you want the rice to be like the Mexican restaurants, then use a chicken bouillon here, or chicken broth instead of water, or you could use that tomato chicken bouillon that I was showing. I'm going to use turmeric and a little paprika, but again, it will be better if you use the chicken bouillon. If you're vegan, then use the not bouillon, and that will be a comparable sub-in for you. Sometimes the vegetable bouillon is too flavorful and it kind of influences the entire flavor of the dish. Whereas like chicken bouillon is subtle, and so is not chicken bouillon. And now I'm gonna make some pickled onions, carrots, and jalapeños. This is also called escabeche in Spanish, and you'll find this in some of the Mexican restaurants, and I thought it would go nicely with our recipes. I want to tame these down as much as possible. I don't really want them to be spicy, so I'm going to make sure to get rid of all of the seeds, and that is just an easy way to do it. And then I'll go ahead and slice these up. And I'm going to save these tops to add into the next beans that I make. And I didn't have much to use on this carrot because I'm saving it, but I think it's going to be giving us a little bit of color into that mixture, and I'm excited to try this. This is another one of those things that's been on my bucket list, and I'm going to go ahead and make the mixture for pickling. This is one of those items that is great to give away as food gifts at Christmas time. You know, you could give it with a bag of tortilla chips and some salsa, and it would just make such a nice gift. Actually, the recipe called for 3 tablespoons sugar, but I went down to 2 tablespoons just because I don't like that much sugar in it. And I did a tablespoon of salt, which is a lot, but it is a brine. And then I added in some minced garlic, and I loathe garlic presses. This is a really cheap one. I think I picked this up at Dollar Tree. You will probably never see this again. Usually I just use a knife and do it myself. It's so much easier. I hate cleaning these. And then you're just going to stir up to let the sugar dissolve. And then I'm going to go ahead and taste it because I'm kind of second guessing that sugar. But actually when I tasted it, it's not sweet at all. So I think this is going to be fine. And just to be sure, I gave it a second test. All that the sugar is doing here is just mitigating that acid in the vinegar. And by that, I mean it's just toning it down. The nacho slices that I usually like to use don't have sugar in them, but I noticed that they had turmeric. And so I went ahead and added some of that. The recipe that I was using called for oregano, and I had some Mexican oregano, and I spent so much time looking for it, and I realized that I'm still not as organized as I need to be. And then I was just trying to match the color of my jar of nacho slices. And I've been eating a lot of nachos at night because they're kind of the perfect meal for me in terms of calorie wise. Plus it's kind of a light dinner, and I like to eat a big lunch and a light dinner. It's just, I usually make my tortillas in the air fryer, and then I use nacho slices. I use a little guacamole and then some beans, and that's it. And it's just such a treat for me. And it's, like I said, it's the calories are where I want it. So I was thinking it would be great to be able to make my own pickled jalapeños. These have been on my bucket list for a while now, and I think that these look so pretty in this jar. These should be good to eat in a few hours, but they'll be perfect tomorrow. So I'll set these in the fridge. And these beans turned out so good. They were delicious. Now I'm going to make a green enchilada sauce, and this is the sauce that I need for my spinach enchiladas. At first, I was going to roast all of these items that you see, but then I decided to just go ahead and blend them up, and then I'll just simmer that sauce for a while. I'll put the recipe for this in the description area. I also added some cilantro, and I'm going to add the jalapeno here as well. And then I'll just use a little bit of water and salt, and then I'll blend this. This is so good. Even before I'm cooking it, it's delicious. I could taste the garlic. The cilantro gives it that super fresh taste, and the chilies in this are perfect. There is very little heat in this at all. Just a very nice flavor and perfect to use as a chip dip. I did just want to take a minute to say, if you want to add eggs and maybe one avocado, you can get lots of different meals. These are migas, and here is huevos rancheros, and here is also huevos rancheros, and then here is chilaquiles. And that is made with a salsa verde. You can also make that with a red sauce, but those are actually 3 of my all-time favorite breakfasts that I've made here on the channel. And you can easily make those with just a couple of more ingredients. You can also make enfrioladas, which are enchiladas made with refried beans. I'll try to link that video for you. You might be wondering what the difference is between salsa verde and green enchilada sauce. And the differences are actually very subtle. First of all, the salsa verde tends to be chunkier, and this is a little chunkier than it probably should be for an enchilada sauce. I probably should have blended that more, but I think I like this just the way it is. Another thing is that enchilada sauce frequently does have some stock added, especially if you're a person that finds green enchilada sauce to be too tart. You can always add in some chicken stock and tame it down a bit. But this is really fabulous. I'm super excited about this, and I can't even imagine how good this would have been with the addition of a roasted Anaheim chili in there. I think it would have been really delicious. I'm just gently cooking some of the onions, and then I'm simmering this enchilada sauce for a few minutes, and then that will be ready to dip my tortilla shells into. And I fried these just to get them a little bit firmer so I can get the texture I want on the enchiladas. And I'm trying to conserve my spinach because I do have obviously limited amounts. But I had a couple people in the family that wanted to try some spinach enchiladas, so I need to make at least 4 of these. And my onions are nice and soft, so I'm gonna go ahead and add the spinach in, and I just want to slightly wilt this. And I have my ingredients line all set up to assemble my enchiladas. So the authentic way to make enchiladas is to actually dip the shells into the sauce and then fry it in the pan. However, it is very messy, so I'm just going to do it this way, and I'm sure it'll be fine. I think El Torito uses Monterey Jack in theirs, and they also add a small sliver of a piece of a chili, probably a poblano or Anaheim. And I'm making the first 2 are going to be for me, and I don't think I can eat this cheese blend, so I'm just going to make my spinach enchiladas without. But I think this would have also been good with some zucchini. And then for the remainder of these, I'll go ahead and add in the cheese as well. And you only need a very small amount of the cheese. I do have to conserve this sauce. So if you did decide to do this recipe and make it at home, it would probably benefit you if you added some kind of bouillon along with this. You could also make like a roux to make it thicker and kind of make it go further. I definitely think it would have helped to make the enchilada sauce go further. Maybe I'll try that the next time I make these next week. But I have this amount left over, which is going to be gold for something else. I might make some breakfast tacos or something, and that'll be the perfect addition. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and make some red enchilada sauce. And if you are a fan of the channel, then you probably have already seen me make this when I tried to recreate my very favorite cheese enchilada dish from a restaurant. And actually, I think I did a pretty good job on that. I did learn how to make a really good red enchilada sauce. And you just start like you are making a gravy. So you add a little oil and flour, and then you're going to cook the flour. I'm going to get this to the consistency that I want. If you add too much flour, don't worry, you can always just add a little more oil in. But whatever you do, you want to let this cook for a little while. And I'm adding 1.5 tablespoons of chili powder. And this is just the regular American chili powder mix that you find on every shelf in every store. This is just a shortcut to making a really nice enchilada sauce. If you watched that video, you remember I was having a little competition with my son where he was using whole guajillo chilies and I was using this chili powder, and we both agreed that mine actually turned out better. So it's just a very, very quick way to make a nice enchilada sauce. And I'm also going to be using some of this tomato bouillon with chicken powder. I do prefer a touch of the tomato flavor in mine. So if you're vegan, use the not chicken bouillon and just a smidge of tomato sauce to your liking. You can also just add water to this and then add in the bouillon and then taste as you go. Because one of the things you want to make sure is that you don't get this too salty, because those bouillons do tend to have a lot of sodium in them. But this tastes fantastic. This is so delicious. And now I'm just going to go ahead and make some of the enchiladas. One of the things I love about enchiladas is that you can make these up and put them in the freezer and make little freezer meals, and they turn out so good. I like to make a big pan of these, and I think if I was doing this menu for myself, that's what I would do. I would just make a ton of enchiladas, but I'm trying to make quite a variety of meals for you guys just so you have some options of what to eat. And you only need a very small amount of cheese. It's actually much less than you would think you would need for cheese enchiladas. I make these platters of food with these, and then I cover them with foil, and they make the best leftover meals. You just throw them in the oven and it's so delicious. It's my favorite leftover meal. I can eat these for breakfast. I can eat these for lunch. They make great to-go lunches for work. The only thing that can make these look a little bit better is if they were swimming in enchilada sauce. You know, it's kind of coating around those enchiladas, but I did need to conserve the sauce, especially for the spinach enchiladas. And I made these refried beans. I just mashed them up and I added a little salt and paprika. And with the spinach enchiladas, I just served these regular whole because, again, I was just trying to plate it the same way that I eat it at El Torito. And they do look better with the cheese on them, but that's okay. I'm gonna try them just like this. And I did love this. I was surprised at how close to the original this was. The flavor is fantastic. The amount of spinach and onion that I put into these are perfect. You can taste the flavor of the onion. It's not overwhelming. It's just a very gentle flavor. I do think I need to work a little bit on the enchilada sauce. I think I should have made a roux with that and maybe made that a little creamier by adding some broth the same way I made the red enchilada sauce. So I'm going to play with that next time. And maybe in the next video, I'll show you just an end result shot if I do that again, because this is fabulous. And I did try a bite of the spinach enchilada with the cheese, and that was phenomenal. But I've got an issue with lactose, so I can't eat all cheeses. And so I'm unfortunately gonna have to pass on that. However, the rest of the family did enjoy these as well. And the red enchilada sauce was really good. About 1.5 years ago, I got a recipe from a viewer of how she makes these soft potato tacos, and she adds cumin into the mashed potatoes, and it is so good. I added a small clove of garlic into the water when I was boiling the potatoes and added plenty of salt. If you make this correctly, I promise you this is going to be one of those crave-worthy meals that you want to make again and again. And if you have some instant mashed potatoes, you can make a very cheap and inexpensive meal with very little time to prep, and I do recommend this type of mashed potatoes for this meal. I added a little crystal hot sauce into mine, and the jalapeños and the carrot and onion mix on the side just really brought this meal together and made this very delicious. The first night I made these, they were perfect. The second night I overstuffed these with more mashed potatoes than they needed to be, just because I was trying to use up the mashed potatoes. And it does make a difference in how the overall taste is. You want it the perfect amount of crunchy to soft. So you might want to experiment a little bit with this, but I also tried adding in some cilantro and that gave it some fresh flavor. But I do feel like this is a springboard for some extra meals for you guys. If you want to add in some chorizo or some ground beef to those tacos, I think that'd be really good. And here is the last meal I made. Having those nacho slices is a great sub-in for salsa because it provided some much needed acidity to help balance out the flavor of the beans. Anyway, guys, I am out of time this week, so I'm going to show you all of the rest of the meals next week. Thanks so much for watching my video, friends. I'll see you next week.
Morning has broken, my windows are open. Wanna feel the wind blow through my hair. Which way do I follow? What happens tomorrow? I turn to you and hope you can guide the way. Sometimes I give up, just wanna be on my own. Even in the darkest times, you give me hope. So